And from these numbers, I would estimate a drop of about 25%. Okay, so this analysis is good, but it's not 2008. It's 2020, and it's not a housing crisis. It's a global pandemic. What's up guys, welcome back to the channel. Thanks for clicking. If this is your first time here, I try to make videos on how to maximize your lifestyle independent of income. Today we're going to talk about the falling prices of Rolex watches. We're going to dive down into why I think the prices are falling, but more importantly, we're going to talk about whether or not I think the prices will continue to fall. Before we do that though, let me show you a few examples of prices that I've seen that are considerably lower than what I've seen before. Here we go. So let's start off with the best example that I have, a black ceramic Daytona box and papers from a reputable secondhand dealer, CRM, here in Miami, 18.5. This has been on here for about a week. I've seen the prices drop on Instagram for this particular watch from over 20,000 to 19.7 and now 18.5. Obviously, everyone knows that this is in the 22 to 23,000 range just a few weeks ago. Another example from this same dealer, CRM, is this Yachtmaster 2 two-tone. This is the new one with the Mercedes hands, 18.5 box and papers. This is ridiculous. A two-tone one, even with the blue hands, should be well over 20,000. This one has the new hands, so I imagine this one should be in the 22 to 23 range, 18.5 for this one. Now we get into something that I found on Instagram, Watch Trading Company. They're a legitimate dealer here out of Miami, but they only deal on Chrono 24. They had a flash sale last Saturday, a new GMT Master 2, aka the Batgirl, $11,995. Probably 4 weeks ago, this was in the $15,000 to $16,000 range. Now, a couple examples that I saw on the private side. This one was on OfferUp, but you know, in my opinion, private sales are also indicative of the market because consumers, especially Rolex owners, knows the market price. This is a Daytona that was just purchased in 2019. This one has the ceramic bezel, $9,000. Just for your information, I sold one about a month ago. It was a 2020 new unworn for $10,100. So this is just a year older. Maybe some light wear on it. I don't mind that it's from a private seller just because it's got the original receipt. I know Mayer's Jewelers here in Miami. All I would do is match up the serial number to that of the receipt to that of the watch, and I would feel pretty comfortable knowing that this is a genuine watch. And at this price point, that's a hell of a deal. And then finally, another one that is on OfferUp, a guy selling a brand new 2020 Milgauss, the blue one, which is obviously the most coveted one. Again, box, papers, receipt. This one even has the stickers on there. You know, the retail of this one is, I think, $8,300 plus tax, so probably in the $88, $89 range. You can't even get this one at the AD. There's a waiting list, and this guy's willing to let it go for $7,300. I'm sure you see some deals in your market as well. So do you pull the trigger? At the end of the day, if it's something that you like and you can afford it, you should buy it. But everybody likes a deal. Obviously, I don't know what the market's gonna do, but let me share some logic with you. Here we go. Let me first talk about who the buyer for Rolex is. To figure out who the buyer of Rolex is, let's figure out what the Rolex marketing strategy is. I found this website, Marketing Strategy of Rolex Evaluation. It's a pretty in-depth website. It talks about the company background, a little bit about the marketing strategy, and then it talks about the 4 Ps. If you scroll down to the marketing mix of Rolex, it's interesting here. It says the target of Rolex is both men and women. Rolex makes watches to suit the taste of both men and women and are preferred by both sexes. The market segment that the company has placed this product in is the luxury market, and prices are high as they're placed in the luxury market. Then it goes on to say, in order to maintain their status related to the 4 Ps, the company has positioned its product as a luxury item for the specific reason they have to strive to maintain a very high quality for their products. The accuracy of Rolex watches is one of the areas that puts them ahead of any other watch maker. I would tell you I don't know about the accuracy of that statement. I think having an accurate watch is just table stakes at this point in this price point. But let's move on. Moving down to this section, talking about the types of customers the company wants to address. In the case of Rolex, it is clearly a luxury product targeted to the affluent economic strata of the society. Consequently, the advertisements and the events which are sponsored by the product are those associated with the rich. How I interpret that is that it's targeting people with disposable income. Scrolling down a little bit further, I found another interesting point here. These taglines demonstrate that the appeal that the company makes for its brands ensure that the products are sold to those who strive not only for the beauty of the product, which even a fake Rolex can deliver, but rather the pristine class of wearing a watch that is handcrafted. I think this is where we get into the meat and potatoes of this article. You hear stories of people purchasing their first Rolex to celebrate a milestone in their life. This is the prime example. The marketing, the price point, everything about the product is designed for somebody to strive for. Moving down to the products section, we talk about each individual Rolex undergoes stringent examination. Basically what it's saying here is that attention to detail is very important. And then finally down to the price section. The watches sold by Rolex are priced high, obviously. Pricing strategy goes with their promotion and positioning strategy. So some of that was pretty obvious, right? Rolexes are expensive, they're a status symbol, and people who buy them generally have disposable income. And whether or not people have disposable income sometimes is a product of the economy. If we want to see how the economy affects Rolex sales, let's go back to 2008. I found this article actually from 2009 that details the events of 2008. It's from the New York Times and it's called At Rolex, A Year of Challenges, published in November 2009. The challenge with Rolex is that it is not a publicly traded company, so a lot of its sales and numbers are very secretive. If we scroll down about halfway, John Cox, a watch industry analyst in Zurich, estimated that annual sales at Rolex were between 3 and 4 billion the year before. This year, they're closer to 3 billion. Again, with all of these numbers that are very imprecise due to the secrecy of Rolex, the only thing we can do is make an estimate. And from these numbers, I would estimate a drop of about 25%. Okay, so this analysis is good, but it's not 2008. It's 2020. And it's not a housing crisis. It's a global pandemic. So while the comparison is good, we have to factor in two more things. Rolex is a different company. Back in 2008, you can walk into any authorized dealer and buy just about any watch you wanted to. They had stainless steel sport models in the window for anyone to walk in and buy. No waiting lists. Obviously, that's not the case now, even outside of the pandemic. Some theorize that millennials, as they start to become a little bit more successful in their career, if we go back to why people buy Rolexes as a status symbol and as a sign of accomplishment, they go out and they buy Rolexes. Thus the shortage. But that's a different video for a different time. But we do have to factor that in. Now, whether or not there is a purposeful holdback in supply to create this artificial demand, we don't know that either. Another thing we need to take into account is, again, this global pandemic. Rolex is shut down, so the supply is shut down also. So we know with the recession, demand is going to decrease. But now we know that supply is also going to decrease. Now the question is, at what rate is each of these going to decrease? Is the supply or the demand decreasing faster? And does that create a different supply and demand dynamic? So given this information, it is my opinion that Rolex watch prices will continue to decrease. And not at the authorized dealer, but in the gray market. Yes, Rolexes are luxury goods, and luxury goods tend to stay inelastic in price. The challenge, though, is that these gray market dealers need to keep that cash flow going. Exactly the same reason why we saw that flash sale for that Batgirl selling at 12 grand, which is about $1,500 to $2,000 less than what it should have been selling at. That dealer needed the cash flow. And as that continues to happen, these gray market dealers operate brick and mortar as well as online. We'll continue to see prices drop. Now, the next question is, how far will the prices come down? I think the answer to that has to do with how long we're going to be locked at home for. I'm no expert. I'm just doing some research online, and typically vaccines take about a year. So it might be a few months longer. Cash flow is going to continue to be an issue for these dealers. Prices will continue to drop, but I don't think they will come down below the prices of retail. The reason being, disposable income isn't solely a product of the economy, because there's some people with money out there. And depending on the desirability of the watch, not the hype, but the actual beauty of it, that's going to determine the price. What I mean by that is the Batgirl. Kind of a plain watch. It's an all black GMT with a little bit of blue on the bottom. And for that to fetch $6,000 over MSRP at one point didn't make any sense. The Hulk, on the other hand, I don't think you'll see that come near retail. It's a beautiful watch. Same thing goes with the white Daytona. Beautiful watch. Guys, I'm going to wrap up this video. That's my conclusion. I think prices are dropping. I think prices will continue to drop. But depending on the desirability level of a particular watch, you're going to see the market price dictate to where it needs to be. I hope you liked the video. If you did, please help me out. Give me a thumbs up. Please subscribe to the channel. Guys, I know it's been a while since I put out a video. I've been telling myself it's because I've been busy, but no more excuses. We've all got nothing but time at this point. So I'm going to do the best I can. Again, thanks so much for watching, and until next time.